The 2017 film has been heavily criticized for many years, but the reality is that it also has many fans who loved it. Should it get a sequel? We are not going to go into the analysis about the reboot since we know that the new universe is not going to have any connection with the 2017 movie. We are going to analyze if that movie deserves a sequel due to its own merits. When this movie came out, it was for the purpose of giving the franchise a reboot, but we all know by now that didn't work out. At the time, the Power Rangers series was still continuing to air, so it didn't really feel like a reboot, just a desperate attempt. The 2017 movie had excellent elements to give the Power Rangers franchise a better future, but unfortunately some things failed to connect with audiences. Despite that, the idea was for multiple movies to be made, and in the scene after the credits we can see that the Master starts calling Tommy. This lets us know that there was an intention to make a sequel in which they were going to include Tommy, and although we will never know what was the story they had in mind, we can deduce that it was going to be something much better. We must remember that one of the big problems that this first movie had was the lack of action, since the Rangers managed to transform almost at the end of the story. We would not have that problem in a sequel since we would have Rangers who already know how to control their powers and everything is going to be concentrated on Tommy. This is another thing that would be solved in the sequel, and that is that in the first movie they did not focus on a specific character since they wanted to tell the story of the 5 Rangers. In the sequel they could focus only on Tommy's story, and this would help the audience to connect better with that character. Besides this, we all know that Tommy has always been the most loved character of the whole franchise, so that is a positive point that this sequel would already have, and that would help a lot for the fans to maybe love that character faster. Obviously, this would not be something assured since we must remember that in this new universe they changed the personality of each character, and this caused that many people did not love those characters as they have loved the Rangers of the TV series. One of the most important things that Tommy has is his personality, his noble heart and his natural leadership. If we were presented with a Tommy without these qualities, then it was very likely that the audience would not love the character and perhaps the whole story would fail. This is something that the producers never understood, since having rebellious students who become Power Rangers is not the most appropriate for many, and something important that the Rangers have always had is that they are almost always exemplary people for society. This was even one of the criticisms given by some of the actors of the TV series, and I think it was one of the things that affected the movie the most, since we fans could not connect with those characters because of that silly rebelliousness. Despite this, I think the movie deserved a second chance, and maybe a sequel would have improved many mistakes. We must accept that, despite all those mistakes, the movie also had some excellent things that we had never seen in Power Rangers before. The high-level special effects were one of the best things, since we had never had Power Rangers with that level of visual effects. Another important thing that this movie had was that it was for a more mature audience, and this caused them to include more shocking things. One of these moments was Billy's death, and although in the TV series we had already seen deaths, in the movie I think it was a little raw. Something I really liked is that Rita was truly scary. She was a great villain, and although they included a little bit of silly comedy, I think this did not affect her image. Another good thing that they included in that movie was that they talked about some of the personal problems that the characters had, and I'm not talking about the moments of rebellion. The Rangers had moments of sadness, family problems, moments of loneliness, health problems, and many real problems that any of us could have. An example of this is the illness that Zach's mother had. A very sad situation, because even though he may have possessed a very great power, this will not save his mother's life. It is like an irony of life, as sometimes there are things that are not solved even though you have a lot of power, influence, or money. Rangers didn't need to be rebellious people who were breaking laws, doing inappropriate things, or having a bad relationship with their parents. The Rangers needed to be good-hearted people who want to do things right, but at the same time have life problems like everyone else has. This movie had a lot of positive things in the story of each of the Rangers, and also in the story of the other characters. I think the only mistake in those stories was the rebelliousness thing, and that could have caused a total disconnect with the audience. This also happened with Zordon and Alpha's story, because even though at the end Zordon sacrificed himself to save Billy, at the beginning his attitude was different. From the beginning it was clear that Zordon was not happy with the new Ranger team and he was planning to revive when the grid was opened. Even, Alpha was also helping him in that plan, and this indicates to me that they were both selfish. These are qualities that these two characters have never had and that no hero should have. After all the things that happened in that movie, it is very likely that in a sequel these characters would be more like the characters in the TV series. Now we would have a Zordon who is willing to sacrifice his life to save others, plus he now trusts the new team of Rangers and can guide them in a better way. We also have a Jason who has become a leader and was able to motivate the Rangers not to give up in a very complicated situation when Rita was about to defeat them. Another important detail is that they will no longer be rebellious people, now they will be people who seek to do the right thing and help others. It is for this reason that in a sequel they can concentrate on creating a story based on Tommy, and maybe they could have recreated the story of the evil Ranger. Another thing they could have done is to not have a Green Ranger and have Tommy get the powers of the White Ranger, a power that does not allow its bearer to be corrupted. This way they could have concentrated on having a new villain, and obviously the best choice would have been Lord Zed. Although I love Lord Zed's design, I think they could have created something a little different and maybe they would have surprised us. Since the power they gave Rita in this movie was so great, then we could have seen a super powerful Lord Zed. This would cause the Rangers to have a bigger challenge, and maybe the new White Ranger was the one to save them. A story like this would have been truly powerful and engaging for any Power Rangers fan, but also for any superhero fan. The reality is that the 2017 universe isn't going to get the franchise to rise up and reach a different kind of audience, as that was proven in that first movie, but that doesn't mean they can never give us a sequel for those who would like to see a new story from that universe. Personally, I would like to see the new Tommy Oliver, a new Lord Zed, and a movie where the Rangers are already developed. This will give us the possibility that this new movie will have action from the beginning and that we will start to connect better with the characters. Write in the comments if you think this movie deserves a sequel and tell me how the new story should be. If you liked the 2017 movie, like this video and subscribe for more Power Rangers movies.